Hello and welcome back to Success by the Numbers, your show to help you understand numbers in your business better and to manage your business by the numbers. My name is Tenjo and I'm your host, and I'm also the CEO of Work on Your Business, where we help entrepreneurs to work on their business instead of drowning in it. And today's guest really mastered the art of working on his business and actually selling his business without even being there. So we have Philip Semmelroth as a guest today, and he started founding his business at the young age of 18 years without any pre-experience, and he was able to scale the business and sell it inside a crisis. And last year, he was only 2 days really physically in his business. So he actually works on his business. His team is doing all the rest. And you will find out how this is possible, how you can do the same, and many, many other practical business advices. So be ready, take notes, get a pen ready, get a paper ready, and let's welcome Philip. Hello and welcome, Philip. How are you doing?
Hi. Hi, I'm very good. Very good.
Okay. I love the fact that you're standing. This is much more energetic. There's so many people sitting here. I love this.
Just trying to make this work. We'll see if it works throughout the entire thing.
I think so, very sure. So Philip, some of you may know you. Some of you who are listening and tuning in from all over the world may not necessarily know you. Could you briefly introduce yourself and maybe share a little bit on your backstory of entrepreneurship, please?
Yeah, I can certainly do that. Well, I'm 41 years old nowadays, and I started my business at the age of 18. I studied in Germany. I studied in the United States. Then at like a couple of years in that business, after working with freelancers, I actually hired some people, turned that business into a really profitable business, and then sold it to an investor in 2020. And now I'm just coaching entrepreneurs, German, like in the DACH region, and some even internationally. And I was like traveling a lot as a keynote speaker, but nowadays I'm just like forced to be home doing interviews like this, and I'm still enjoying everything.
Yeah, we just had yesterday a new announcement of another 3 weeks lockdown here in Germany. It's really getting annoying slowly, but luckily we have opportunities like this to still connect with the world.
Exactly, and I mean the job model we're working in is just not too much affected by this, and that's a very good thing. So we're very happy in this field. And I'm also very sad for the people that do not have these luxuries.
We will definitely get back to that point later on how to work in this new world. But let's start at the beginning, maybe for our listeners. So you just mentioned that you started your business with 18. And so were you still in school when you started it?
Yeah, I actually like graduated from school at the age of 19. And when I was 18, I really had the idea of starting this business professionally. Prior to that, I had already fixed computers of people like living close by, friends of my parents and stuff like that. And I thought there's money in this. I did not know how to like really monetize my ideas and how to really turn this into a professional business. I just wanted to do more of it, and I wanted to do it more often, and I wanted to be able to like actually purchase stuff cheaper and then sell it on to people with a little margin on top. And I had no clue on how to do it. My parents said, this is a very lousy idea. Please don't do it. Finish school, then go and study, because that's the only chance you're ever going to make money in life. And that is a very important lesson, because they said that to me, not because they don't like me, not because they wanted to stop me, but because that was their way to think. That was their education. That was the way they went through. And that was like the background they had. And based on that experience, they came up with that recommendation. And that's very important to understand, because if you're listening and you want to go somewhere else, ask people that have been where you want to go. Don't ask people that are with you at these days, because they might not have the same ideas, they might not have the same experience, and they might not have the courage to do it. Therefore, that's very important to understand. So I started my business without my parents' support. Later down the road, when my dad actually retired, my mom called me. She said, can you give him a job? Because he is home and it's very like disturbing. I can't handle that man all day long. Can you just place him somewhere in your company? I would even subsidize his salary, because I need him to be somewhere for a couple of hours throughout the day. But that never happened. But it just showed how things turned once it actually turned to be like proved to be successful. Let's put it that way.
Awesome. I can totally understand this. So another question on that one, because if your parents did not support you, how did you come up with the idea? So did you had other role models that you were looking up to? I mean, because usually we follow the model of our parents, right? So parents are not entrepreneurs. So, I mean, when I remember back in my time, I mean, my mom actually was an entrepreneur, not really an entrepreneur, but like a solopreneur, right? So she was having basically she was a freelancer, and she was building, like she was a diploma engineer. She was constructing houses. So she was drawing the plans for the houses, right? And working a lot on her own all the time. So I usually try to follow my parents, of course, like many people do. But how do you, to get an idea like that is so different from the parents' ideas, did you had any other influences, or did this really come from yourself?
No, but I think the biggest impact on my life was the fact that I had never had money. My parents didn't understand like the system of giving money to your children for like pocket money for personal spendings and stuff. I always asked my mom, I said, can I have a little like pocket money? Because all my friends had money like that available to them. And she said, why do you need that money? And I said, because I want to buy some chocolate. She said, why don't you just have me get you the chocolate? Tell me which chocolate to get and I'll give it to you. Like I'll bring it back from the store next time I go for shopping. And I said, well, but that's not really what I want. I want the freedom to make my own purchasing decisions. And then when I was like 14 or 15 and you wanted to ask a girl out, we usually went to like an ice place, you know, where you just bought some ice cream. And I couldn't do that because I had no money, and I didn't want to go home and say, you know what, there's this girl, because then you have all these other drama going on, and I didn't want that to happen. So I was always looking for ways to make money on some things. So I did a lot of like tried out a lot of stuff. I distributed papers around the neighborhood. I sold candy on a just regular blanket sitting on my like what is that, road? You know, just sitting down on the road, and then just selling it off to the people walking by, going to the university because there was a train station nearby. And then later I figured that I really love working with computers. And the more time I spend working with computers, the more problems I came across. And the more problems I came across, the more I learned how to fix them like quickly and like sustainably. And then I spoke to other people who had computers, because I'm 41 now. In 1998, not everyone had a computer available to them. And prior to that, even less people had a computer available to them. So I spoke to all the people I met. And I asked, do you have a computer? Does it work properly? Do you need help? And many of them said, yeah, we need help with this and that and this. And then I just said, you know, I could actually take care of that. And then I worked for them. I fixed the problems. I got everything back on track, let's put it that way. And then they offered me money. And in the beginning, I had no clue on what to charge. But the more often I did it, the better my idea was on how much money I could actually take for my service. And then once all the money came in, and I still had no like costs because I was staying at home. I was like 16, 17, staying with my parents. Food was paid for. Shelter was covered. Everything was like paid for. So all the money coming in was basically profit. So I thought, wow, this is a lot of money for a lot of work that I really enjoy doing. Because all the other people I was like friends with had jobs for making money that they didn't like. They hated them. And I said, I don't ever want to do a job that I hate, because I'm never going to be in it like to win it. I will never gonna be doing a good job. Therefore, I will never like get my customers excited. I will never get tips. I will never get like other people wanting to work with me. So I need to find something that I really want to do. And that was like the IT and the computers in general. And then I just thought, maybe I just need to start a business. And I had no clue how to do it. All I figured out was where to like get the permit. So I did that. And then once I had the permit, I still had no clue, but now I had a permit and therefore an official like a company. And I started the company on the 30th of April, 1998. And 8 months later, like at the end of the year, I had to like do my taxes for the very first time. And as I had no clue on how to do it, I just got I got a computer program that was called Microsoft Money. And I used that to do that tax report, and I sent it off. And a couple of weeks later, the financial department or whatever, they send me a bill, and they said, you know, you got to pay this amount of taxes. And I looked at the number and I thought, I have not made that much money. So I don't know, how can I pay more taxes than I ever made in my business? And then I went to the office and I talked to the guy, and he saw that I had no clue of whatsoever. And he looked at me and he looked at the paperwork, and he said, you know what? Just do it again, but ask a professional this time. And then I worked with a professional, and I didn't even have to pay money. I got money back because I spent more than I made. because I had all these investments going on. And that told me at a very early age, if you want to go places that you have never been before, ask experts to like guide you and hold your hand at least for a little bit, because otherwise you're going to lose a lot of money, because this guy might not be there for you. As he has helped me, he might not be there for you when you are in a situation like that. And so I started very unprofessionally and then got better over time, and finally like managed to even leave the operational part of my business. And that really increased like the value of the company, because once the company works like noticeably and like proven without you being around all the time, people are actually willing to buy it. And that happened to me.
We still come back to that point. I just want to go back shortly, because for our listeners, guys, if you are listening in, again, we are talking about how Philip gets started, right? And what he just mentioned, some things, I mean, they sound very simple when you listen to them, but like there's a really big lesson in there. What you heard in the beginning is he was just asking people, do you have a computer? That's a very easy, awesome sales strategy. You have a computer, you have a problem, I can help you. Sales can be so simple, because sometimes people are making a huge deal out of sales. Like, I have to have a pitch. Like, I mean, what was the pitch? I can help you. Pretty much in essence. So I think many people get stuck, especially in the beginning. They say, oh, I need money, I need people, I don't have all of this, I have this idea, but then like, yeah, they want to do it perfect, right? And I mean, especially we Germans, we are very much known for that. We have everything planned out, like the 5-year plans, the 20-year plans, right? And then we never get started. So what is your advice to people who say like, but I need money and I don't know how to start, and sales is not really my strength? What do you tell them?
Well, first of all, if sales is not your strength, fix that, because there's nothing more important than that. Being able to sell does not mean anything else than being able to communicate to other people about like something and then make them do something, either in their interest or your interest, or in the best case, like in your both people's interest. Here's the problem. A lot of people think sales is like shady stuff. You shouldn't do it. You don't want to get exposed to that, but you are exposed to sales every single day. Therefore, it is better to be able to master it, because once you know the rules, you can make your own decision on how often do you want to work with these strategies and the skills, and how often do you want to apply what you know. But if you have no clue at all, you're always going to be on the victim side of the deal. Therefore, you're always going to lose a lot of money. If you're working with people, you need to be able to communicate professionally to them, to make them do stuff that helps you, that helps your business, that helps them to improve or get better results and stuff. And everything that has that kind of background is like related to sales. Therefore, sales is like the most important part of anything in the world. Even like small children know how to sell, because they have two things. They have an unbreakable will. You can't stop them. If they want that piece of candy, they're gonna get it. It might take a little longer, because in the beginning you go like, no, 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 but then at some point you're just breaking down, and then you say, you know what, if that's what keeps you happy and keeps you quiet, here is the piece of candy. So that's how sales work. You need a strategy, you need to have some ability. And in the children's realm, it's going to be like the emotional connection. When you are like a grown up, you need to be able to communicate, because you can't just like work with emotions all of the time. Sometimes you need some pieces of argument, but it's all the emotional connection, and it's the determination, the unbreakable will to make something happen. And this is all it takes. And there's nothing in life where you don't need these kind of like skills. And what I also want to say is, it's not about being perfect to start. It's about starting in order to get perfect. That's the same with my English, for example. When I was in school, I had like a 5. And for those of you that are not familiar with the German school system, 1 is the best, 6 is the worst. So 5 is pretty lousy. So I had a 5, and they said to me, Philip, you're never going to be able to speak English. You're never going to be able to talk to people like fluently. You should probably stick to some job that's like locally available to you, because otherwise you're going to be like lost in the world. And then I just made a decision. And I said, you know what, even if I'm not perfect, I can still improve, and I can improve on a daily basis. And nowadays I get paid quite a lot of money for giving a keynote in English. My English is not perfect, but that is probably one of my strongest like selling points, because I always tell these people when they hire me, I said, you know what, if you hire me, they're going to see I'm not perfect, but I'm still making stuff work every single day. I'm putting in the effort. I'm getting better day by day. And I'm willing to take the risk of missing out an opportunity. For example, I might not know every single word I want to use because it's my second language. But for those of you, especially from an American background, and I like you guys, don't get me wrong, but many of you don't even know any other language than your own language. So most of you people don't laugh at me. You still admire me because you say, you know what, his English is much better than my German, my French, my Spanish, my whatever, because basically I didn't do anything to learn a different language as everyone tries to learn mine. And in that kind of mindset, you're always going to make stuff happen because it's not about being perfect. It's about getting started, getting better throughout the process, and then pushing and pulling people with you, pushing them away if they want to stop you, pulling them with you if they're on your team. And that's basically something I would say is a success strategy that you should implement into your life. Never wait, just make it happen and see, looking back by reflecting what has happened, what could have worked out better. And then just don't repeat the same mistakes when you do the same stuff one more time. Otherwise, you're still better off, even though you might not have delivered a perfect presentation today, you still have done much more than if you had not said a word.
Absolutely. And I mean, honestly, guys, I mean, I'm also doing a lot of sales. I also had to learn it. I mean, I was not good when I started. I may not consider myself perfect today, but I think you learn every day. And I think what is really important for all of you guys to understand, if you are starting out, you have to get among your customers, because your customers will teach you the biggest lessons on what they need, just listen to their needs. What do you need? What is your problem, right? Just ask them, because they will, I mean, for me, it was the most exciting thing to learn. If I just let my customer talk, they will tell me everything I need to know for my entire marketing, because they tell me I have a problem with this and I don't like this and these people cheated me and they lost money. And I was like, okay, if I can just fill those gaps, it's a deal right away. I don't even have to tell them anything. I just tell them 2 sentences. They're like, where can I sign? And I think that is something that most people underestimate. Just talk to the people that you want to do business with, and they will communicate you what they need if you just listen. Right. And if you hide behind your computer, what many of you guys do, I know that. I know many of you guys sitting at home, behind their laptop, perfecting their next online course, right? Developing their great funnels. When are you going to sell? If you're not going to sell it, all the thing that you're developing is worth nothing, because if you cannot sell it, it doesn't make you any money. And I know I just pushed a customer recently into pre-sales. Hated me for that. I was like, sell before you do it, but it's not ready. So what? If nobody buys, you don't even do it ready.
A very important lesson, because when I had the team around me and I came up with new ideas and I said, you know what, we're going to sell this from now on. They said, Philip, we haven't really worked out all the details yet. I said, then it's the best place to get and best part, a point to get started. Because what happens if we work out all the details and then figure out nobody wants what we want to offer? Why don't we just sell it up front and say, you know what, there's a delivery delay by 6 to 8 weeks. That gives us enough time to implement everything that needs to be ready in order to make that happen, what we just promised. It's not about bluffing. It's not about cheating people. It's about believing in what you can do, knowing you're not ready yet, but still thinking about the market prior to investing all the energy that you could invest, prior to investing in taking up all the cost in order to develop something like a prototype that might not be of any interest for other people. It might gain the interest or the excitement. It might create a lot of excitement within your team, but if there's nobody willing to pay for it, there's no point in considering to push more energy, more money, or to do anything else more in this particular field. So sell it first, then make it work.
Exactly. And what you also have to consider is, even if you have a great idea, it doesn't mean that the market wants exactly that. It may be that they want a version like that, right? But they may twist it. So, I mean, I worked a lot in IT consulting in the past. I made pre-sales for large companies, right? And they had very clear ideas of what they want. And then we had to discuss, okay, is that the right process? Does it even make sense, right? Because sometimes companies are too much in their own head and they don't even understand that there's a better way to do things. But then it wouldn't have made any sense to finish the solution before we finished the model, right? And once we had a model that really made sense, and we told them also very honestly, hey, it's not ready yet, we have to develop it, right? So you don't even have to fake anything, or you don't even have to say yeah, we have that and it's not true. Don't do that, because you're only going to have problems. Be very transparent and say, guys, we don't have what you want right now, but we are very confident that we can do it because we understand your need, you understand what you want. We have similar things in place, so we will be able to develop that for you as well. It will take time, it will take resources, so let's commit on something, right, together. And then it worked. It worked every time. Was it easy? No, absolutely not. But it still, it made a lot of fun because you knew exactly what you developed meets a market need. And then you can also sell it to other people. But I think too many people are in their own little room, in their house, in the home office at the moment, and they're developing in their little bubble something that nobody will ever buy. And then you wonder why you're not moving forward.
And here's a very famous quote that might not be precisely the words he used, but it comes from the guy who started LinkedIn. He said, if you launch the product and you don't feel embarrassed about the first version of it, you launch too late. And that basically summarizes everything that we have been speaking about for a while now. Just get it out there. Test all that get all the feedback from the marketplace, and then redefine your offering, especially in the beginning. I mean, you can offer a refund. You can say, you know what, it's a try before you buy. It's something like that. You just become part of a special group. You get a special price because we know it's not perfect yet, but we guarantee we're going to fix what could be fixed in case something is wrong with this. So just put it out there, because if you're not out there, people will not buy it. People will not know about it. And that's like the whole thing with marketing and stuff like that. When you think about the broader context, you always got to understand, if they don't know that something exists, they're never gonna come up with an offer. They're like offer or order, depending on which side you're on. They're not going to buy from you because they don't know that there's something like that available to them. And most of the time, when you launch a prototype in any field, some people look at it and say, you know what, this is like brilliant, but if you could just add this little feature, it would like perfectly fix a problem in this particular area or industry or whatever. And you just need to listen, put it out there, and then listen to the feedback, and then use all that information that you have to create the best offer possible, keep improving it, but then start selling it like big time. Because if you're on the way or on the path to being perfect, you're never going to make money. You're going to be dying broke, looking for a perfect solution. And that is not a business idea that people would like to talk about back in the day. So you're not going to say, I had a great product and it never sold and never made money. I was actually broke. That's nothing people ever going to listen to. So not even the story is worth it doing it.
That's so true. And you just mentioned it already. So once you have a product, or once you have something that you want to get to the market, you need to get it out, right? So marketing is an important element. What are like 3 advices that you could give to people when they say, because I think many, especially Germans, we are raised to, not self-promote yourself too much, and, like be shy, be humble, don't be like the one who's always getting all the attention, step back, right? So we are raised with that mindset, many of us, I think, especially in the German speaking areas, so also including Austria and Switzerland, my friends over there. So you're also not better than we are in that regards. That's a training that's like in our, I don't even know, DNA is the wrong word, it's in our education, right? So what would you tell them, like how important is marketing?
Well, I think marketing is very important, because if people don't know you, they're going to buy from your competition. That's basically all you got to understand. You need to be out there. You need to be findable, Googleable, whatever. If you're not on Google, you're not happening. That's just a matter of fact. You can say, I don't like that industry. I don't like that company. I'm using a different search engine. Everyone else uses Google. If you're not on Google, you're not happening. Therefore, nobody's ever going to become your customer, because your competitors are going to take over that market share. Therefore, just make sure that you get some attention. Attention is the currency of the future. Whatever you do, make sure it's some attention, but then also make sure that attention is kind of related to your business. Otherwise, just run naked through the street gives you a lot of attention, no business. So it's not all about attention. It's about related attention. The second thing I would probably say is that if you're thinking about starting a company, don't worry too much about customers or markets or regulations or tax stuff and stuff like that. It's not about how much money you have. It's not about how much money you need. You don't need money to start a business. You need a customer. That's it. So just look for one customer and do something with that person to get that business off the ground, to get it started. Because here's something that a lot of people don't know. I started the first deals and asked everyone else, all my customers those days, to pay all the money up front. I said, I have no money. If you want to buy a computer from me, you got to pay, like prepay the whole deal, 100% prepay deal. Otherwise, I will not be able to purchase the material that I need in order to set up what you want to buy from me. And that sounds weird because nowadays some people say, you know what, I'm not paying until I have the stuff in my hands. But it doesn't have to be that way. It's all a mindset thing. If I could do it, you can do it as well. So just forget about what you don't have, look for where you want to go, because then you will find a way. Remember that story I just told you about little children with their candy? No money, no language skills, no connections, no experience whatsoever, no academic or whatever background. They just see something, they want it, and they find a way. If they don't make it happen within their first attempt, they keep trying. And that is like the major difference between a lot of adults, because if I once it doesn't work, say it's not my thing. That's not how it works. And then maybe the third one is try to do as little as possible yourself. That sounds like contradictory to what regular entrepreneurs go through within the first weeks or months or years of their business. But the earlier you leave the operational part of your business, the earlier you have other people taking care of like the regular stuff that needs to be done in order to buy the stuff, to prepare the stuff, to sell the stuff, to deal with the customers, to invoice the customers, to offer customer service and do all these things. The earlier you leave all these parts of your business and focus on strategy, like building additional distribution channels, creating additional streams of revenue, working with like finding additional and very like qualified and matching employees and stuff like that. The earlier you focus on those kind of things, the earlier you're going to make a lot of money. Because if you work, you won't make money. You will be busy, but being busy and being profitable is not the same thing. That's what you need to understand.
And that's so, I mean, guys, I tell you this all the time, you know, busy doesn't mean productive. I know people who are busy all day long and they haven't achieved anything.
And here's one more thing. If you really like your job, that's not enough, because excitement cannot be taken to the bank. You need to have some money, and money comes from excitement because people want to work with people that are excited about their work. But being excited alone doesn't help. You need to have a business case that's valid, that works, and you will only find out what works and what does not work by trying it out. That's the thing. And if you fail, you're still one step further than you were before you tried. So there's nothing to lose. But there's a lot to gain.
That's so true. That's a picture I always share with my audience. If you are still standing and somebody else is walking in the wrong direction, they will still overtake you because they realize faster they walk in the wrong direction and turn around while you are still standing thinking about what the right step might be. So sometimes it's better to just start fast and realize, oh, wrong way. And then you just turn around and go the right way. And there you go. So it's really exactly what Philip just mentioned. It's amazing. And also, again, in the second point, there was one little, the underlying motive was we learn every day, and nothing that we learned in life, we knew it immediately. We did it the first time. I mean, how many times does a child try to walk before they really can walk? It takes a long time. But they don't give up, right? They wouldn't even come on the idea to give up. And I think there's another nice quote that always says, the human species is the only species in the world that is able to decide to stay below their natural means and gifts that they have. No other animal in the world would not give their best. They give their best every day. And we humans, we decide, 20% is also fine. The majority of the people never unleashes their full potential. And that's so sad, guys. Start doing something. Come on. It's not that difficult.
And just because you mentioned that when you're walking, you're still making like bigger progress than if you're not walking, here's some piece of advice only for the guys that are listening to this. If you're walking and you feel that you are on the wrong track, stop and ask somebody for advice. Women would do that prior to you, like much earlier, but many of you would just continue walking because that feels more comfortable. It's not so embarrassing. You rather walk and walk and walk, and you never like figure out the right way. But you still have the feeling you did something. I never do that. If I'm looking for something, the first thing I do is I ask for somebody's advice on where to go, because that saves me a lot of time. It saves me a lot of energy, gets me the results faster, because I don't like wasting time. I don't want to like just do stuff. I'm not embarrassed about a lot of things. Sometimes that's very embarrassing for the people that are with me throughout the day, because they say, how could you dare doing that? I said, you know what? Because it seemed to be like a reasonable approach in order to get my result faster. And if that took me to behave like an idiot or give other people an opportunity to laugh over me or whatever, I don't care. Whenever it pays or helps me to reach my results faster, I'm willing to do that. And that is very hard for a lot of people because you have been raised to be strong, to be the leader, to not like, not ask too much for help of others, but asking somebody for help is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. Because only strong people understand that they can't do it all by themselves, and they're willing to ask others to support their mission. And the more support you get, the further you're going to get in life.
So true. And guys, usually when you ask people who are more successful for help, they're very willing to help you. Don't underestimate it, because we always think like, I would feel ashamed if this is, the others don't think like this. If you ask a successful person, they're happy to share their knowledge, because most people never ask them.
And here's the reason, and here's the thing why they are more than happy to share that with you, because you might have never seen it from that perspective. The reality is, if you did something in life and that turned out to be like very good, it worked out very well, you got very successful, you made a lot of money and stuff like that, everyone around you will think you were lucky. But once you share your strategies with other people and they get the same results, then they consider you to be a genius, because you have figured out a proven way to make stuff happen, to make like success predictable. And that's why successful people always want to share stuff with other people who have like the mindset and the readiness. It's not about mindset. You also got to be able to put in the effort, time-wise, money-wise, energy-wise, maybe even you got to make some trade-offs sometimes. You might to leave your company, your family for a while, or invest a little more time in the business. Let's put it that way. And not everyone is willing to sacrifice in those ways. But if a successful strategy gets the opportunity to share their secrets with somebody else, and that person makes progress, it proves that these people are just great. And that's why they do it. That's why sometimes it's not even something they want to get paid for, because that's their payment. They get paid by the joy and the feeling that it actually worked and it was not just luck.
Yeah, and it's also appreciation. I mean, honestly, like I have many people in my environment that I'm giving advice, because they all ask me like, how do you do that? And I was like, it's not that difficult. Here are the steps. But then they don't implement them, because they see me every day and they think like, yeah, if you say that, yeah, you're just special, right? And I was like, I'm not special differently than you guys, like I just do it. And then people who are close to you, they don't see your advice as that valuable as your paying customers. The paying customers get exactly the same input, and they just get successful. So if you ask a stranger, somebody who's like far away from you, because most people are afraid to take that step and ask, don't get this wrong. Like, they are happy to give it to strangers, because they usually would take it much more serious than the people close to them, who still consider them lucky. Because even if you share the strategies, they still say like, yeah, but this doesn't work for me because, because whatever. They always have excuses. So
that is the reason why a lot of coaching programs are actually paid for. The coach could share some pieces of advice with you for free, but free advice is not appreciated in the same on the same scale. In order to get you into the execution mode, you need to have a commitment, and the commitment is greater the more money you paid. So basically, you're not paying the coach, you're paying yourself to to raise your energy. And the more energy you put in there, the more it happens. Therefore, it's never lost money. It's always an investment.
Absolutely. I mean, we all have coaches ourselves. I mean, how many do you work with at the moment yourself?
It basically like 3 to 4. It always depends on the questions I have. I have like coaches that I'm like constantly communicating with, but I also have some people on standby that I could just call and ask for advices on certain things. For example, my tax advisor is a very good friend of mine, and also a big help in certain areas, but these questions don't come up on a daily basis. And then I have a speaker coach for Germany. I have a speaker coach for America or the international environment and stuff like that. I have some fitness coach that helps me getting fitter and doing better exercises and stuff like that. But I don't need these people all of the time. But you need to have a network of people that are close by, that you might even have on short dial if you want to use that picture on your phone. So if you are in problems, you don't have the time to figure out who am I going to talk to. You need to have these people ready prior to having the problem.
So true. And you just also heard it, specialization. get the right coach for the right thing. That was one of my biggest mistakes when I started out. A mindset coach was trying to sell me business coaching. Didn't work. Sorry, great coach for mindsets. Unfortunately, no idea about business. I wasted so much money there. But hey, it was not wasted. It was a learning experience. Never happens again to me.
Yeah. But just look at the people. For example, if you want to make money and you have somebody that offers you advice, just look at these people. Do they have money? If they don't work with them. If you want to get fitter and you see somebody that does not have the outer appearance, let's put it just like that you want to have, maybe that's not the right coach for you. If you want to if you have somebody that looks like this person has not eaten for 30 days, looks fit, but doesn't really enjoy food, that's probably not the best person to learn cooking from. Therefore, you just need to be a little sensitive here and don't just rush into coaching. Look for the right people to work with, get the strategies that help you. Not everyone can help everyone. That's why coaching is such an enormous market, because there are certain things, different people with different requirements for different goals in life, and therefore you need different coaches.
So true. Let's go back to the business scaling piece, because you have really, we heard it already, a success story until selling the company. So before you sold it, of course, you had to grow it to a certain level to make it attractive to investors. So once you start, and you mentioned before you started out by yourself, right? So when was the point when you started getting other people? Because you also mentioned you should not do everything yourself. You should really start getting rid of a lot of the tasks very fast. So when was this point for you that you started outsourcing things, hiring people? What did you do precisely? Did you hire immediately people, or did you start another way? That was part 1 of the interview with Philip. I'm going to have the second part for you next week, because we want to stretch this a little bit, because there was so much information and we want to give you time to process it. Also, we know that you are super busy entrepreneurs and you have so many other things to do. So we split this up in 2 parts. Be back next week. Give us your comments, give us your feedback, ask your questions. Philip is always looking to answer questions. He's not the type of person who's having monologues all the time. He wants to have questions. So if you have any questions, send them over, right? Look at the show notes. Philip's book is already linked there. He will tell you more about this next week as well, but check it out already in the show notes and make sure you take a first look at this. And then we will be back next week with the second part. Stay tuned, start implementing. This is really practical advice. Don't waste any time. Get to work, get to action. And we are back next week with the second part. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Give us a like, give us a share, subscribe to the channel to not miss out when the next video launches. And we see us back next week.